British Columbia.Conservation Officer Service is responsible for protecting the environment and natural resources in British Columbia. Conservation officers are peace officers armed and enforce 6 federal statutes and 25 provincial statutes, including the Species at Risk Act, Liquor Control and Licensing Act, Wildlife Act and Environmental Management Act. COS is headquartered at Victoria and operates out of 44 office locations. COS is involved in outreach and education, compliance monitoring and verification, public reporting, investigations and enforcement actions. History highlights. On July 1, 1905, British Columbia established the Department for the Protection of Game and Forests, hired the first game and forest warden, which eventually grew into the BCCOS today. From 1918 to 1929, game wardens were abolished and the British Columbia Provincial Police took over the responsibility to enforce wildlife legislations. In 1961, game wardens were officially renamed to Conservation Officer. In 1980, Conservation Officer Services became a distinct part of the ministry. In 1983, conservation officers are appointed as Special Provincial Constable. Up until 1987, all COs were males. Between the years of 1997 to 2000, COs were given a much wider authority in the law enforcement duties, including the ability to conduct surveillance, seize property and to arrest and detain. In 2002, the Chief Conservation Officer became a legislated position and was placed in charge of BCCOS. He can now designate anyone to become conservation officers, auxiliary conservation officers or special conservation officers, depending on the needs of the agency. July 1, 2005 marked the 100th anniversary since the first appointment of game warden officers. At one time the service had regular and seasonal officers. Currently, there are full-time regular and special conservation officers. Ranks: Special Conservation Officer, Conservation Officer, Corporal, Sergeant, Staff Sergeant, Inspector, Chief Conservation Officer.